As Stevens is on your left, Walker is on your right. Both these players 5-0 here in Indianapolis. Great starts for each one of them. And it looks like Noah Walker was victorious game number 1. These players sideboarding. Hopefully we can get a good look at their sideboard, see what they are working with here. So Walker number 23 on our SCG Tour Player of the Year leaderboard for Stevens. It's number 9. Breakout year for Todd Stevens.
Yes.
Starting to really make a name for himself. Now a writer at StarCityGames.com on the select side. You can find him every Tuesday or Wednesday over there.
And would really, really love to get to the Players' Championship.
Yeah, he would. He's put a lot of work in this year to try to get there. That's for sure. This Bant aggro deck. You'll find Tameo, Field Researcher, Tireless Tracker, Reflector Mage, Sylvan Advocate, Servant of the Conduit, and a card I think you're going to see almost in every green deck now is Virtuous Gearhulk. But one card that we haven't seen very much of actually this weekend, I'm curious to get your opinion on it, Spellqueller.
Well, that's going to be an ebb and flow sort of thing. If people are not anticipating Spellqueller, and people are playing with all these Gideons and Mind Rack Demons and so forth, and not playing with very much creature removal, then Spellqueller can be just as good, if not better, than it was in the previous standard format. But it's also going to be a function of what are the surrounding tools, what do the blue-white decks look like, what do the Bant decks look like. I think that's the shells where you're going to see it in most frequently. And the loss of Collected Company is huge, of course, for strategies like that. So I think there's going to be an adaptation time, and you're just going to have to see how the metagame washes out a little bit, and if Spellqueller is a well-aligned card or not. The thing is, the Bant decks, Bant absent of Collected Company would have almost been a deck in my mind. The creatures were so good, and the sideboarding plans were so flexible that there was almost a deck there even if Collected Company wasn't a card. And you have Tameo Field Researcher, which is not as good as Collected Company, but at least fills that 4-drop source of card advantage, ways to win in stalemated battlefields and that sort of thing. So it's possible that this deck or something like it is still viable, and if Spellqueller is a well-aligned card to where the format's at, then it can definitely be good.
Well, Todd's got 3 Negates, 3 Fragmentize, 2 Ceremonious Rejection, 2 Arbor Backstomper. That's kind of the newish fairer Thragtusk, people are calling it. 2 Noose Constrictor, 2 Nissa Vital Force, and 1 Summary Dismissal against this kind of Sultai Emerge. Typically used to saying Teamer Emerge strategy. What do you like there?
Well, I'm a big fan of the counter spells, the 3 copies of Negate and the 1 copy of Summary Dismissal. I think Stevens in this matchup is well served, just trying to get out in front early and then keep Noah off the big payouts. For
Noah with his Sultai Emerge deck, a deck we've seen him play a little bit, even including SCG Richmond, where he saw a top 8 performance there. 3 Transgress the Mind, 2 Lost Legacy, 2 Pulse of Marasa, 2 Dark Salvation, 1 of Fun Ofs in To the Slaughter, Kozilek's Return, Noose Constrictor, Ishkana, Graf Widow, Emrakul, and a Coax from the Blind Eternities. So you can definitely tie me into the Noose Constrictor, the Ishkana, and the Kozilek's Return. I think the 2 copies of the 1 copy of To the Slaughter could also be good in this matchup, since Stevens does have Tameo and just is playing creatures kind of straight up. He's not really doing the token generating stuff. So more stuff for the battlefield, a little bit more removal. Okay.
I suspect Transgress is not great in this matchup, but I'm not sure.
Well, we're underway here. It's a Prairie Stream to start there for Stevens. For Walker, it's an Evolving Wilds. Walker going to save a little bit of time here by sacrificing the Evolving Wilds. Stevens will get a Sylvan Advocate after playing Aether Hub and using that energy. Walker went with a Forest, and now he will untap and draw. Traverse the Uvenwald will allow Walker to search up an island. Play a Sunken Hollow, pass the turn back over to Stevens. Stevens will come across here for 2. Play an Evolving Wilds, sacrifice that, get a Basic Forest. You see these players shortcutting quite a bit, as game 1 did take a little while.
Not good news here for Stevens to be a little uneven out of the gates here. Land's not really cooperating. Took off turn 3.
There's Grapple with the past. Elder Deep Fiend among the cards that have been placed in the graveyard. Noah Walker returns a Evolving Wilds. That'll be the land for the turn, pass the turn back. Stevens will come across here for 2. So he does have a copy of Summary Dismissal in hand. Looks like Tireless Tracker as well. So So Stevens will play the Tireless Tracker, play Evolving Wilds. At least one clue on the way, potentially two. Yep, and he will get the second clue now. And Walker will sacrifice the Evolving Wilds. So both players are going to dig up some lands out of their deck, place them onto the battlefield. For Stevens, it's a basic forest. Same thing there for Noah Walker. They'll shuffle, they'll present, and then we'll head over to Noah Walker's fourth turn of the game. Walker's got some catching up to do.
But Stevens was a little slow out of the gates here.
Mm-hmm. A forest here for Walker. He's going to add a little green mana. Another Traverse. Going to go get Noose Constrictor. Okay. Given that he does have Delirium. There is a Noose Constrictor. Pass the turn back. A land means clue number 3 here for Todd Stevens. And he does have a decent-sized hand here. Looks like a Servant of the Conduit will add some energy. And the fact that that adds energy is a pretty big deal right now because it turns the hub on.
Yep. Especially if Stevens is sitting on Summary Dismissal as well. He's lacking double blue currently.
We'll pass the turn back. There's a Vessel. And now Walker will sacrifice the Vessel. So an Island, a Prized Amalgam, a Noose Constrictor, and a Botanical Sanctum. Why do I always want to say Botanical Garden?
It's a natural thing to say.
Yeah.
So Noah, not surprising to me that he's playing Emerge here, given his chops in Legacy and how much success he's had there. He is at ease playing very complicated decks.
Yeah, he is.
You know, particularly for someone of his age. I mean, he is, you know, I'm guessing late teens, early 20s, and he very feels much at home playing these decks with a lot of moving parts, a lot of fidgety stuff.
Steven sacrifices a clue there. Put a counter on the put a counter on the Tireless Tracker. Yeah, I think Stevens may have ticked down the energy counter instead of the clue counter on accident. Yeah, that's what happened. So he ticked down the energy counter instead of the clue counter. So now we've got the right things, which is he's used 2 clues. He hasn't used any energy yet. So now we're okay. Now here comes the Tireless Tracker. Pass the turn back. 1 land away from Sylvan Advocate being able to start attacking.
Imagine Stevens was on the hunt there for land number 6, couldn't find it, and wants to just sit back on Summary Dismissal instead.
Summary Dismissal, Spell Queller, and Blossoming Defense all in Stevens' hand right now. Yeah, so he's got a lot of great reactive tools. Meanwhile, Noah Walker's not doing much of anything. Stevens will sacrifice Tireless Tracker, pick up a copy of Declaration Stone. He's given permission to untap. This is a Kozilek's Return. And now he'll play, actually, excuse me, he's discarding Kozilek's Return to Noose Constrictor, and now he'll play Elder Deep Fiend. So there's Summary Dismissal. So that'll take care of that. And I believe that also takes care of the Kozak's return as well.
And I think this is just going to be lethal here.
That's land
6, 10, 11. Yeah, he's got exactsies if the count is right. So you can sacrifice the clue.
Yep. So Summer Dismissal, very, very good there for Todd Stevens. He's going to be able to tie things up here against Noah Walker. Bat aggro, Sultai emerge, getting ready to go to game number 3.
And I think that's going to be a really important card for decks like Bant and other blue-based creature decks to have access to in the sideboard, because I think that Kozilek's return alongside large Eldrazi threats are still going to be a big part of the metagame. And that's always been a problematic angle for Bant decks and decks that are trying to flood the battlefield. So that card's very well situated, one might say designed with that card and that interaction in mind. And I think we're going to see that throughout the 75 of these Bant decks as they continue to evolve.
Well, now that we've got a better idea of how these games are going to play a little bit, even though Noah Walker didn't do a ton that game and got his big play of Elder Deep Fiend, plus Kozak's return countered by Summary Dismissal, do you think anything changes for either player?
Probably not. I mean, it may make Noah a little bit more inclined to bring in his copies of Transgress the Mind, which I think were already in his deck. I think one might have been milled over early on in the game. It's just a way to attack Stevens' hand and break out the big counters. But besides that, I think it's much the same.
Okay. Well, they'll shuffle up. You see the clock here. About 12 minutes here for each player. They've presented very quickly. So we'll see the game of Magic be played here in just a moment. But let's talk about the Twitch chat that we hope you guys are enjoying right now. You can become a member of the Feature Match area and join the Twitch subscription program, where you get to decide the quarterfinals. You get to use some awesome custom emoticons and badges, and it's only $4.99 a month to sign up. Or, you know, Amazon did make a cool little program there with Twitch recently as well, so you can subscribe that way too. Either way, it's twitch.tv/SCG Live is where you can get it done. We hope that you guys are enjoying the now free chat that we do have in place. Hopefully you're keeping it kind in there.
We have moderators, so if you don't, then the stupid things you say just don't get posted.
That's true.
And then you're kicked out.
Yeah.
So, whatever. Whatever.
I like that you keep it simple and honest.
Right.
That's what you're here to do. I sugarcoat it a little bit, and then you just pound right through the sugar.
Right. Well,
That's good.
was it stick and carrot and good cop, bad cop? Long history of this sort of relationship working.
I'm definitely a good cop.
You are, yeah.
You know why you're the bad cop? Because the bad cop always has coffee.
Right. It's true.
Just an angry cup of black coffee. They throw their mug at the wall and everything.
Right.
Noah Walker with a couple fast lands to get things started here for Todd Stevens. He's a servant of the conduit. Noah Walker's going to sacrifice the Vessel of Nascency. 2 Swamps, a Noose Constrictor, and Elder Deep Fiend. That's what Noah's going to decide between. He's going to take the very powerful one in Elder Deep Fiend, and he'll go to his 3rd turn.
Can't be good if you're on Steven's side to see him take the Elder Deep Fiend, because that means his hand's already very well set up if he has a path towards that.
Sunken Hollow, passing the turn. Todd Stevens will play, looks like an Ether Hub, but maybe not. Maybe so. Another energy, 3 total. Looks like the beatdowns are coming. And a Tireless Tracker. Pass the turn back. Had the ability that turn to play the tracker and then play a land to get a clue, but it looks like he wants to get on the offense. Here is a Haunted Dead, which is going to bring along a Spirit Token. Pass that turn back. Stevens will draw.
Another nice small thing about Aether Hub. You know what it allows Noah Walker to do?
I'm going to say cast Kozilek's Return.
Which is otherwise uncastable in his deck.
Very nice.
It's very nice.
How many hubs in his deck?
2.
Okay. Better than none.
Small thing.
Yeah.
But it's just there, and there's a nice option to have with that card in particular.
Here come the beatdowns. Double block.
Yeah, I was not a huge fan of this attack here from Stevens. I feel like the Tireless Tracker is going to accrue a lot more value than this, unless his hand is really loaded. No way to keep it alive because he only had the 1 clue in play, so he could only get up to 3 toughness.
Now he's got Tameo in hand. Here's how he plans on using this. All right. This looks even stranger now.
Yes.
Because he got no value out of that, so I'm curious what he was trying to set up in all of it.
I had to imagine that Noah running that double block was just not on his radar.
Okay.
It's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Reflector Mage's the draw.
Reflector Mage.
I was really hoping.
We are back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better if Walker had cast some sort of main face doofus instead of just saying go, but we're still back.
Here's Sylvan Advocate. Plus, here are the attacks. Servant will get to come in. Tamio plussed on the Advocate and the Servant of the Conduit. Here is an Evolving Wilds past the turn back. Will Stevens over to Walker. Walker will be activating a Haunted Dead, I believe. Kozilek's returning Prize Amalgam trigger. Get this back. We'll get him a real Spirit token in a minute. There we go.
Put it right over the top if you don't mind us.
So people at home know what that is. Declaration in Stone. So this must have been during the main phase. Yeah, during the it's at the end of the second main phase, so that he can get the Amalgam back.
Okay,
makes sense. Sacrifice a clue, get the Amalgam back. Stevens is going to sacrifice the Evolving Wilds, get a basic island, a shortcut a little bit here. Walker will draw. Stevens with 3 energy, hasn't used any energy yet from Hub or Servant of the Conduit. Now here come Prized Amalgam and the Spirit token. Going after Tamio.
You can see Stevens here, a little light on action right now, and no way to stop Walker's big payoffs here. So the Tamio, very important for him to protect.
Stevens able to draw a card there because Tamio did target Sylvan Advocate. That lasts the entire turn cycle, so both his turn and his opponent's turn. He blocked the Prized Amalgam, and draws a card because damage was dealt. 1 damage from the Spirit goes to the Tamio, falls down to 5 loyalty counters. The follow-up here for Walker is a Distended Mindbender.
Oh boy.
Let's take a look at that one, because it's really good. See Reflector Mage. Ceremonious Rejection. Declaration in Stone and a Plains. That's the hand here for Todd Stevens. Now, Mindbender gets to take a 3 or less and a 4 or greater, so he's only going to get to take 1 card. And there's a Kozilek's Return trigger on the stack. Doesn't seem like the best spot to use it in, but we'll see what Noah decides. And what card he wants to take, too. All right, Reflector Mage. Remember, Mindbender makes you discard.
Some other time.
Hopefully not. I'm good with that one being cast all weekend.
Please find your seats for the next round of the 3 p.m. Modern Challenge.
Just totally fine with that, I promise.
Also, once again, Ferris Esposito.
There's Declaration in Stone. A clue for Walker. Tamio is going to target the Servant and the Spirit. Stevens will hit, so that means he gets to draw a card. Gear Hulk the draw. Evolving Wilds the land. And now we go back over to Noah Walker. Stevens with a Ceremonious Rejection, a Verdurous Gear Hulk, and a land in hand. Basic Forest here for Stevens. He'll search with Evolving Wilds to save a little bit of time. As you see, we've almost got underneath 5 minutes in the match. A Haunted Dead being cast. A Haunted Dead will resolve. And I don't know if we're going to see Noah Walker attack here or not. I don't think so, as Stevens will sacrifice a clue, draw a card. One thing that these Bant aggro decks can do, especially Stevens' build, no difficulty drawing cards.
Right.
That's for sure.
The problem is, does he have enough cards in his deck that can stop Walker's top end? He doesn't have a whole lot in the way of hard counters.
Counter here on Tamio. And it will target a couple spirits, it appears. Follow-up. Oh, that's a Gear Hulk. Now, Stevens did right in that newsletter piece that he did, what he'd play on the SCG Tour. He felt that Tamio was in prime position to be one of the best planeswalkers in the format, assuming he could cast it.
Got crowded out a little bit by Collected Company.
Yeah, it sure did.
But a lot of the other stuff that went in that deck is still legal. I mean, most of the quality threats are still there.
Tamio's looking good right now.
Well, I mean, Stevens has drawn a ton of extra cards and also made it harder for Walker to manage Stevens' planeswalkers as a result. So Tamio has been more than good enough for 4 mana so far.
Yep. Walker will draw. Spirit's coming in. Down to 5. Stevens gets to draw a card. See what else Noah Walker wants to do this turn. You see Stevens kind of observing the battlefield, taking a look at Noah's graveyard.
Well, there's a Kozilek's Return in the graveyard, and he knows about an Elder Deep Fiend in hand.
This is time for the round. Finish your activity.
Here's Traverse with Delirium.
5 additional turns. Again, open players, this is time of the round.
Time of the round's been called. Slight extension, of course, because these players in the future match area. We'll make sure that the time is right. We might actually have our first match that might be working our way towards a draw here. Didn't expect that.
I don't know. Walker's at 8. Not a whole lot going on the battlefield. I think there's a good chance Stevens is able to squeeze this out in time. Especially now with a trampling threat, makes it much more complicated here for Walker to manage things.
1 under 230 here. Cameo looks like it's about to be used. Starts at 5. Todd hasn't used it just yet. Selfless Spirit, perhaps? It's a really good Kozilek's Return protection. See if there will be a response. The answer is no. Plus it. Target it. Here's Elder Deep Fiend. Sacrifice the Haunted Dead. There will be some targets here. Going to target the Gear Hulk, the Servant of the Conduit, a couple of lands. Stevens. Is going to use Selfless Spirit now to prevent the use of Kozilek's Return. Thank you. Now here's Ceremonious Rejection. Yep, he has a blue and a color floating, now just a colorless. And now the follow-up I think is going to be a Tireless Tracker. Yep. Land. We'll go with the hub, put an energy, get a clue. Yeah, I think that's enough for that turn. Let's head over to Noah Walker.
And now Walker has lost his only creature in play with converted mana cost on it. Really complicates trying to emerge something else down the line.
Look, I know we have talked a lot about Smuggler's Copter this weekend, and with good reason. Virgin Scarehawk's giving it a run for its money right now.
Yeah, I mean, it requires a little bit more work and is a little bit easier to interact with, you know, relative to the stage of the game that it shows up in and all that. But, you know, in double green's a bigger opportunity cost than just being colorless, but that card's been awesome.
Yeah. It's the real deal. Crypt Breaker. Where'd that come from? All right, it's time of the round. Walker's turn 0. Stevens will have 1, 3, and 5. Walker will have 0, 2, and 4.
We will be closing
Stevens will draw.
our on-demand event station at 5 o'clock once we get this last standard challenge started. So if you are planning to play in standard challenge or want to get in one last draft, Commander Pod, or any other of our events today, you need to be up at the side event station in the next 10 minutes.
There's a Plains. We'll get a clue from the Tireless Tracker. Might be time for Declaration in Stone on the tokens.
Just try to push across lethal this turn.
Yep. There those go. Got plenty of lands for clues. Hasn't used Tameo yet, if memory serves. Sack a clue now.
I mean, he can use the Tameo to try to tap down the one blocker and go for it.
I think he wants to cover himself around as much as possible, too. Just picked up a copy of Ceremonious Rejection. Counter on Tameo. Going to put it on the Crypt Breaker and the Gear Hulk. It's time to attack. Coming on in. No Walker have anything. Because he's going to need to. Discard 2 cards, get back Haunted Dead. Okay. Spirit here. Block, block. 6 damage will come through. The creatures that are chump blocking will die. Stevens will draw 2 cards. Has a Blossoming Defense. I think he's in pretty good shape.
Well, remember the prize amalgams come back.
Very true.
Which is more blocking next turn and potentially gives him a route to emerge.
Servant of the Conduit. More energy that might never get used. Pass the turn back. There are the amalgams that you did mention, 2 of them. Walker will untap. It's turn number 2 of extra turns.
Not inconceivable here that Walker could Elder Deep Fiend or something along those lines to get out of the next 2 turns.
I think it just has to involve Emrakul,
Emrakul is also a route.
which I think is really hard given the number of lands he has on the battlefield, and I don't think his graveyard is all that loaded up.
That's why I pointed to Elder Deep Fiend as potentially the route here, because I think Emrakul's going to be off the table.
I can appreciate aggression. They're all going to Tamiyo.
I mean, this lines up the right way if Elder Deep Fiend's the route.
Yeah. No doubt about that. Any blocking to be done here for Todd Stevens? Gonna block an amalgam. Tamiyo gonna fall down to 2. It's time to untap. Turn 3 here for Stevens. We'll be drawing a card here in just a moment, I think, but it looks like Noah Walker has another Deep Fiend, as you did mention. Going to sacrifice the prize amalgam, Kozilek's Return, and the triggers are going to tap a few things. So, it's fighting hard. That's for darn sure. Now, I want to take a look at Blossoming Defense really quick. And we'll watch Steven sacrifice a clue. The reason I want to take a look at Blossoming Defense.
Yep.
Plus, and gains Hexproof.
Just works against everything.
Yep. You want to tap that? No. You don't get to do that.
And now it's also up to an 8/8.
Yep. So
still has trample.
Kozilek's Return, no good. Still has trample. You're darn right about that. Dude, sweet card.
It's a lot for 1 mana.
Yeah, it really is. Yep. Rejection that's going to do it. Todd Stevens is going to win this match here over Noah Walker. 2 games to 1 in extra turns. Ban Aggro will take care of Sultai Emerge. And for the guy who wrote about the deck he was playing in the StarCityGames.com newsletter, that'll make you subscribe.
Lover of Bant across all formats.
Yeah.
Loves it in Modern.
Yep.
Eldrazi. Loved it with Collected Company. And picking up where he left off, very close to the same deck, just with Tamiyo and Collected Company slot. And Tamiyo did a lot of work that game.